Nigeria did not collapse overnight. It happened slowly, quietly, and politely. At first, people only complained online. Fuel price went up again, electricity disappeared again. Food prices doubled again, and everyone said the same thing. Nah, Nigeria. The young man's name was Sadiq. He was not rich, he was not poor, he survived. Like millions of Nigerians, Sadiq had learned the art of endurance. Wake up early, chase transport, work all day, return home tired, repeat. Hope was no longer a dream, it was a rumor. One morning, Sadiq noticed something strange. The streets were quieter, not peaceful, just empty. The bus conductor who usually shouted did not shout. The woman who sold akara did not argue, and even the keek drivers moved without insults. People were still moving, but nobody was reacting. At work, his colleagues stared at the computer screen for hours without blinking. When Sadiq called his name, the man responded calmly, "Anything we go happen will happen." There was no anger, no frustration, just surrender. That evening, Sadiq stopped at a filling station. The fuel price had changed again. Nobody protested, nobody argued, they simply paid. On the news, the presenter smiled while announcing bad news. Inflation rising, currency falling, another promise made. Sadiq began to feel uneasy. Nigeria had always complained. Nigeria had always shouted silence was new. Days passed. People stopped arguing with police, stopped fighting over transport, and stopped reacting to injustice. When a man collapsed on the road, others walked around him, not because they were wicked, but because they were tired. Sadiq visited his mother. She used to complain about everything: the government, the market, life, but now she only said, "God knows best," and said nothing else. One night, Sadiq heard gunshots and ran outside. People were watching calmly, phones out, faces blank. There was no panic, no fear, just observation. That was when he understood. Nigeria had not gone silent, Nigeria had given up. When suffering stays too long, it stops feeling like suffering. It becomes normal. The government noticed the silence too. Protests stopped, hashtags faded, voices disappeared, so they pushed further, and further, and further. One morning, electricity never returned, not as an outage, but as a decision. People adapted. Banks limited withdrawals, people adjusted. Food became scarce, people rationed. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Then elections were cancelled. There was no outrage, no resistance, just acceptance. One day, Sadiq screamed on the street. He shouted about prices, corruption, and lies. People stared at him like he was mad, and someone whispered, "This one has not adjusted yet." That night, Sadiq disappeared. There was no arrest record, no announcement, no explanation. And the next day, nobody mentioned him. Life continued. Years later, a child asked his father why people no longer fought. The man thought for a while and replied, "Because fighting didn't change anything." Nigeria did not go quiet because of war, invasion, or disaster. Nigeria went quiet the day its people stopped believing their voices mattered. And the scariest part, it felt peaceful.